Hello everyone. Today I'll introduce you some basic concept about copyright. So the topic will include what is copyright and what is covered by the copyright and which kind of right the owner owns the copyright and how long does a copyright last, and if somebody want to register their copyright in Canada, where you can go to register, and I'll also introduce some international copyright protection and give you some best practice in fair use of the copyright, and also give you some other copyright resources. And then what is copyright? By the name, it simply means the right to copy. In generally, only the copyright owner, often the creator of the work, is allowed to produce or reproduce or distribution the work, or permit anyone else to do the produce, reproduce, or the distribution of their created work. And everybody know the intellectual property right, and within intellectual property right, there are lots of different items. For example, the patent, database rights, trademarks, design right, performance right, and also the copyright. They are all the items within the intellectual property right. And what is covered by copyright? Copyright applies to all original dramatic, musical, artistic, and literary works, including computer programs. It also applies to performance, communication signals, and sound recordings. So to qualify for copyright protection, a work must be fixed in a tangible medium expression. So this means that the work must exist in some physical form for at least some period of time, no matter how brave the work is. And which kind of the right the owners have under the State's Copyright Act. Under 1976 issued Copyright Act, it grants a number of exclusive rights to copyright owners. So there include 4 different rights. The first right by the owner is the reproduction right, so the right to make copies of their protected work. And the second right is called distribution right. If somebody wants to sell or otherwise distribute the copies to the public in order to make money, they need to get a permit from the copyright owner. And the third right is to create adaptation. So that is the right to prepare new works based on the protected work. They also need to get permission from the copyright owner. And the last one is performance and display right. The right to perform a protected work or to display a work in public. For example, if one song, let's say Black and White, that song, the copyright was owned by Michael Jackson or his company. If somebody wants to sing that song in public and in order to make money, they need to get the permission from Michael Jackson or his company. So this bundle of right allows a copyright owner to be flexible when deciding how to realize commercial gain from the underlying work. The owner may sell or license any of those rights. And how long does a copyright last? In Canada, the general rule is that the copyright lasts for the life of the author, the remainder of the calendar year in which the author dies, and for another 50 years following the end of the calendar year. So in the States, it's a little bit different, but it's basically it still lasts for the life of the author and plus a certain year. Say like in States it's 70 years and in Canada it's 50 years. And how to register copyright in Canada. So there's the Canada Intellectual Property Office on their website. There's a very clear instruction for the people who want to register their copyright in Canada. So you can go on that website and get more information. And what is valid copyright notice? So after you register the copyright, you usually get a valid copyright notice. What is that? Is the copyright notice contain four content. The firstly, you need to have that word copyright. That is one major important content. And the second content is a C in a circle. So that means copyright, registered copyright. And the third content is the date of publication. And lastly, the name of either the author or the owner of all the copyrights in the published work. The most we see is on the textbook or old published book. And then there's copyright C in a circle and the year and also the ownership, owned by whom. Uh, I'll introduce you more about international copyright protection. So copyright protection rules are fairly similar all over the world, and due to several international copyright treaties, so the most important of which is called Berlin Convention. Under this Berlin Convention treaty, all member countries, and there are more than 100 those countries within this treaty, and including virtually all industrialized nations, must afford copyright protection to authors who are nationals of any member country. So, for example, your country and another country, both of them are within this treaty. So, if your work protected in your country and also will be protected in the other country. To give you some best practices in fair uses, in most of the university, college, library, they have the best practice. For example, a code of best practice in fair use for media literacy education by the Center for Social Media at American University, the Media Education Lab, and the Temple University, and the Program on Information Justice and Intellectual Property that is owned by Washington College of Law. So there are lots of the resources that you can see. So most of the college, most of organization, they right now they're paying attention for the copyright. And there are several useful tools how you can calculate or you can check what's the copyright status. One is the digital image right computator. So that is intended to assist the user in assessing the intellectual property status of a specific image documentation, a work of art, a designed object, or a portion of the building environment, understanding the presence or absence of right in the various aspects of given image. This will allow the user to make informed decisions regarding the intended educational use of that image. Whether you it's allowed for you to use that digital image, you can go to that website and then check the status, whether it's under protection or not. Another example like the digital copyright slider is quite the same, help you to assess whether those intended work is under protection or not. So another example, Bauruch College Guide to Using Copyright Media is quite the same. If an instructor, you want to use the media, you need to assess or check the status whether that media material is under protection. And Stanford University, on their website, they also have a copyright renewal database. There are lots of information, lots of resources, lots of data which can help you more understanding about the copyright. So on the last slide, I also give you some other copyright resources. So all other matters related to copyright policy, royalties, licenses, you can go there to have more information if you're interested. So that is my presentation today. Thank you.